guys, welcome back. Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling. No Dylan Boyle again. Like I said, he's grinding. He's out there. He's putting in a lot of hours right now with his job. And it's really hard to do the podcast and your full-time job at the same time. Like I said, I'm an engineer. He's in the realtor business, and it's a lot. It really is. So all the props to Dylan. Just keep on grinding, my friend. He'll be back next week. He'll make his picks. We'll exchange him. Hopefully I beat his ass because we're going to Week 17. Actually, we just finished Week 17. We're going to Week 18. Used to only be 17 weeks. Now there's 18. Sorry about that. But Week 17 was kind of crazy. It was kind of boring at the same time because now we're getting to the point of the season where there's a lot of teams that aren't playing for shit. And to be honest, there's a lot of bad teams this season. I think the Raiders are now the 9th pick. They're god-awful. I honestly thought a couple weeks ago they were the worst team in the league. I gotta be honest right now. I think that's the Saints without Derek Carr is taking that crown. But the Raiders, a couple weeks ago, they were like awful. I think now they have the 9th pick. That's how many bad teams there are. There are about 10 awful teams. So there's a lot of games right now that are meaningless. But the 3-4 games this slate of the Week 17 slate that were meaningful were extremely, extremely impactful and meaningful. Starting with Falcons-Commanders, Sunday Night Football. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix Jr. with his second career start. Had a decent start against the Giants, but again, it's the New York Giants. They're fighting for the number 1 pick as well. I mean, you got to be honest here. Michael Penix was effective in that game against the Giants, but it's the Giants. And people told me in the last podcast, take it easy. It's his first start. They're playing the Giants. He has a long way to go. But honestly, I got to be honest with you. If Michael Penix was starting this entire season, I still believe this would be a different story. This was tough, though, because I got to be honest. I'm going to start with this right off the bat. That direct snap fumble to Bijan Robinson on, I think it was the last drive in regulation, the second to last drive in regulation. Me and Dylan usually have a segment called Too Cute, and that was the Too Cute play of the week. To have a direct snap to your running back at the goal line, in a critical moment of the game in the fourth quarter, have Michael Penix, who's a big body, either hand it off to him or quarterback sneak or whatever. Anything but that. You have a rookie quarterback who's a very experienced rookie quarterback in college. He knows what he's doing in the red zone. He knows what he's doing at the goal line. Do not do that again if you're Raheem Morris. Don't do it again. Maybe it was Arthur Smith who made the call. I don't know. Don't do it again. Just don't. Because I was really impressed after that because Michael Penix, they got back to about the 20-yard line. It was second and goal from the 20 to 22, something like that. And he went right down the field again and scored a touchdown. Fourth down, that throw to Kyle Pitts was a complete dot. Clearly he could throw from the pocket. People forget he ran a 4.46 40-yard dash. He had two season-ending injuries in his legs. I think one was an ACL. Were they both ACLs? I don't know. But they were two devastating injuries. And I think they might have both been ACLs. But anyway, he came back, combine ran a 4.46. And, he had the first 2 starts of his career, he hasn't really run out that much. But I'm just saying on top of his pocket, because he's an elite pocket passer. There's no doubt about that. I watched that game. Yes, he missed some throws. He's a rookie. And the timing's off. In the offseason, yes, he worked with them a lot. But then once Kirk Cousins came back from his ACL, his Achilles, he was an Achilles. Once Kirk Cousins came back from his Achilles injury, Kirk Cousins took all the reps. Michael Penix was a backup, taking reps with the backups, and you saw that on display on Sunday night because Michael Penix went out there and he made a lot of really good throws, but he made a lot of throws where he missed the mark to kind of open guys. And the only way I can sum that up is because the chemistry is off. Because you saw when he had to make big-time throws and big-time moments, Michael Penix did. And honestly, thinking back to the draft, Michael Penix was one of my top quarterback prospects. I thought Michael Penix was better than J.J. McCarthy. I thought Michael Penix was better than Bo Nix. I thought Michael Penix was toe-for-toe with Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I thought he was right there with them. So it was a tough loss in overtime. They're probably going to not make the playoffs now because the Tampa Bay Bucks play the New Orleans Saints. And the New Orleans Saints right now are the worst team in the league. I know that the New England Patriots have the number 1 pick. I know the Tennessee Titans have the 2 pick. And Tennessee Titans have the 3 pick. Why am I getting this order messed up now? Are they up there, the Saints? Because the Saints are really, really, really bad. Let me look up the draft order. Actually, I have it right here. Saints aren't even in the top 5 because they started off really strong. Kind of strong. But the Saints, to me, are like so bad. So the Bucs are going to blow them out. And the Bucs are going to win the division. So if you would have started Michael Penix 1 week earlier, maybe this would have been a different story. 2 weeks early because they beat the Raiders on, Monday Night Football? That was an ugly game. Very ugly game. But Jaden Daniels with another big moment at the end of the game. 30 seconds to the end of the fourth quarter and overtime, he's made some big throws. I think he has the most touchdown passes within the last 30 seconds of the fourth quarter and overtime in NFL history. This guy, I actually had him behind Drake May in the draft, and it's kind of funny because now actually thinking about it, I don't know, Drake May, I think people are hyping him up like a little too much now at this point. People are like a little too optimistic about Drake May, and he had 160 passing yards and a couple dumb runs. And honestly, I like Drake May. I thought he was the second best prospect coming out of this draft. But Jaden Daniels is clearly the better player. I mean, he's better than Caleb. He's better than Drake. He's better than Michael Penix. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft class right now. I think it's very obvious to anyone that watches the games because you see him in critical moments make big throws from the pocket, which most rookies don't do. Maybe it's because of his college experience. He wasn't, there was the Arizona stint where he wasn't elite, but clearly he turned a switch at LSU, and he hasn't really looked back because this guy has been special. And I made a take a couple, maybe it was a month ago, saying, "Oh, it's the midseason takes," and I said Jaden Daniels is a better player, and I stand by that because you watch Jaden Daniels from the pocket and you watch Caleb Williams from the pocket. It's two different players. It's two different complete players. Caleb Williams holds the ball too long, and honestly, even Drake May. Drake May makes some big plays, but he's not working with much. Maybe that's why. But they're getting Caleb Williams and Drake May are making throws and making plays when they're down by 20, down by 14, down by 10. Just out of the game, doesn't matter. You're 6 games under 500. You're playing for nothing. No one's watching you. You think I'm watching Patriots? Who the Patriots played last week? The Chargers on Saturday and got blown out. Yeah, got blown out. 40. What was it? 40 to 14. Fuck. What does it matter at that point? He made. Oh, what a nice touchdown throw. Down 20-3. I'm not saying that's the exact score, but I'm just saying that. What the fuck does that mean to me? Jaden Daniels is playing in critical moments, trying to make a playoff spot, and he's throwing dots, and over 120 rushing yards. This guy is. Not even the poor man's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson Jr. Jaden Daniels is Lamar Jackson Jr. So, they even look a little similar. Nah, not really. But Jaden Daniels and the smiles on his face, it seems like everyone likes him. I heard something in the offseason where apparently Jaden Daniels was, upset that Washington was, vetting other quarterbacks and that he didn't want to go there. I'm like, it's going to be just fine. They're going to draft him. It's going to be water under the bridge. It's going to be a good season. I thought they would be competitive, but I thought there's potential that they would be worse than the New York Giants. No, that's not true because I had the Giants picked for 1-16, so that's not true. But I think I had the Commanders at 2-15, 3-14, and that was the biggest. Was it 3-14? It was low. That was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. Is that the doubt Jaden Daniels? Honestly, the doubt Dan Quinn because Dan Quinn has shown in Seattle as a defensive coordinator, in Atlanta as the head coach, rallying the troops, getting them fired back up, getting to a Super Bowl, making Matt Ryan believe in himself. And then, now here in Washington, the defense is top 13, top 14. Maybe some of that's because they're playing with a lead. Maybe some of that is because Dan Campbell knows how to coach the defense. Cliff Kingsbury knows how to coach a mobile quarterback. He did it with Kyler Murray. He did it with Caleb in college. He was his quarterback whisperer, so to say. He did it with Patrick Mahomes in Texas Tech. They didn't win much, but Patrick Mahomes went on to be a very good player, one of the best players of all time. And you don't think Cliff Kingsbury had a role in developing Patrick Mahomes? Ask Patrick Mahomes. I'm sure he will pay a lot of homage to Cliff Kingsbury. So they got a good thing going here. And you see, Jets fan behind me, starts with the ownership. I was saying for the New York Jets, for the longest time, I don't know if you hear the planes going with me right now, but there's some planes flying over me. I've been saying for the longest time with the New York Jets, Woody Johnson is the problem. He's the problem. There's no doubt about that, because if you ever worked, I've said this too. Have you ever worked at a shitty company where the vibes are not good? There's like a lot of toxicity within the building, and then you realize, wait, I got a shitty owner, and I got a shitty GM, and I got a shitty supervisor. It trickles, man. Honestly, energy trickles from the top down, almost like trickle down economics, but trickle down emotions. It's kind of in that sense, like. You see negativity from the top, it works its way down. I don't know if the Madden thing's true with Woody or not, but not to get back on the point. Josh Harris buys his team. Woody Johnson, the worst owner or not? Dan Snyder was the worst owner in the NFL. They had to fucking run him out of town, pretty much run him out of town. And I remember one time Dan Snyder was like, "Oh, I got some dirt on the league and everything," and like that. Well, it ended up being nothing because they just kicked him right out. Yeah, it honestly was pretty funny how embarrassing this guy was as an owner of the team, because the Washington Redskins, not the Commanders, the Redskins were a good franchise. Joe Gibbs, back in the 80s, they won some Super Bowls. Since Dan Snyder bought the team, they were like a laughingstock. All those allegations of assault with women and stuff, it was just it was kind of a joke, honestly. And I kind of knew the second they sold the team, things would change. They hired Bob Myers as a consultant. And who's the guy's name? Adam Peters, my boy John Middleclough 3 now. That's his boy. I mean, clearly he knows what he's doing there. He really does, because you draft Jaden Daniels, you bring in a Zach Ertz who was kind of shot a little bit, couldn't stay healthy. Some value on this team. A lot of examples like that though. Trying to think of it. Honestly, this is more impressive than Jaden Daniels, because this is a transition year where they don't have that many pieces around them, and he's still making it work. He really, not even making it work, he's a star. He's a star. And it brings me kind of into my next point, because I was saying the entire offseason that, the Commanders would struggle, and they'd be a little promising, but they would struggle. And this is, you can kind of learn over time, you look back at something that, from now to, when you were talking about things in August, July, June, even early September, and you're like, wow, I was a fucking idiot. I was an idiot about this Commanders team. And I was an idiot about the Minnesota Vikings. I'm a Jets fan. I love Sam Darnold. I honestly thought Sam Darnold would be the savior for the Jets. I thought he had the talent. He had the mobility. He had not elite footwork in the pocket, but he had good ability to move from the pocket, and he had good instincts. And he, not a rocket arm, but he had a kind of a slingshot where he was able to make multiple throws from multiple angles. And I was like, this guy seems like he could be a franchise quarterback. That's the first time I thought like that. I thought Sanchez, they babied him a little bit. He didn't really have that much ability. Sam Darnold had ability. And he had that football look. I don't know how to describe it. It was he was big. He had a good arm. He made some wild throws moving out of the pocket a lot of times. You put together, I know Colin Cowherd said this, but you put a 2 to 3, 4 minute highlight of Sam Darnold's Jet career. This guy's an elite player. It's the same thing with Justin Fields in Chicago. You put together their highlights, you're like, wow, this guy is something. This guy is something. But watching him with the Jets, and I saw him with the Panthers. Then you start to think, maybe this guy is a turnover-prone machine. Maybe he is a laughingstock. Maybe it's not the Jets. Maybe it's Sam Darnold. But eventually you realize the right guys like this guy. Kyle Shanahan, bringing him in for a year as a backup. Kevin O'Connell, making him the starter. And the first couple games, 5-6 games, I'm like, okay, this is kind of a fluke thing. He's gonna come back down to earth, make some dumb turnovers, lose their left tackle. They lose their left tackle. They don't have that many. Name one player on their defense. Name one. It's not easy. It really isn't. You can name a couple, but it's not easy. And you're thinking now, you're like, all right, what are you going to finish the season? 11-6, 12-5 on a good day, 10-7 most likely. They are 14-2. They're 14-2. They worked the Packers. They worked them. They really did. And I got to be honest. When Sam Darnold was on the Jets, they had a terrible season in 2020. I wanted to keep Sam Darnold and not draft Zach Wilson. But just like Joe Douglas, I saw that pro day. I realized, okay, they're clearly going to draft Zach Wilson. I bought into it. It was a mistake. Sam Darnold is a better player. Like, they should have kept Sam Darnold. But let's be honest. If Patrick Mahomes was drafted by the New York Jets, would they have done anything with Patrick Mahomes? Maybe he would have been a decent player, but, like, it matters where you go. Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay. Like, this matters. Like, it really does. So, I think Sam Darnold was one of those players that needed to get, like, his feet a little wet, learn how to control the football, take a couple of years, relax, and, like, you're seeing eliteness now. You really are. Like, this guy's on pace for, like, almost 40 touchdown passes. So, Sam Darnold, I think this is sustainable. You have to keep him. There's no way you leave Sam Darnold out to the water and you let another team sign him. His number might be in the 40, 45 million range now. This is, like, unheard of. And, like, the numbers are one thing, you know, almost 37 touchdown passes or whatever. He's at some kind of high number now. He's probably top 5 in touchdown passes, like top 5 in passer rating. He's got over 100 passer rating, 30-plus touchdown passes. I would have never thought Sam Darnold would put up numbers like this. But if you watch those games, he's making throws that are elite with a subpar line. That left tackle, one of the best left tackles in the league, is out for the season. And he's rolling out and throwing darts. This guy throws darts down the field, moving out of the pocket. Like, this is what I want him to be on the Jets. I'll never get that. I won't. I would love for them to trade from the offseason. I'll probably bring back Rodgers. But Sam Darnold is, honestly, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. He's playing like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. You got the main 5: Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar, Herbert. After that, you got like maybe Stafford, Jaden Daniels. Hurts is probably in the top 10. I wouldn't. Goff. I'm just trying to think right now. Goff. Think NFC alone. Like, Brock Purdy fell. Kyler Murray fell. Geno Smith fell. Sam Darnold is better than all of those guys. He's better than Kyler Murray right now. And I love Kyler Murray. I've been a Kyler Murray defender. He's better than Brock Purdy. He's better than Geno Smith. He's younger than Stafford. Stafford looks withered. So, Sam Darnold, he might be the guy for a while. I would keep McCarthy, but I wouldn't even franchise Darnold this year. Why sign him? Just franchise him. Run it back one more year. Franchise him for 1 year. If he brings you anywhere close to this again, you sign him for a long-term deal. Fuck McCarthy. I don't give a shit about him. You shouldn't either if you're Kevin O'Connell. You really shouldn't. The Packers' offense took too long to get things going again. This is the second time against the Vikings they did this. You know, they started off slow. They got going at the end. Too little, too late. Vikings surpassed the Packers. Like, they are more Super Bowl ready right now than the Packers. Maybe this is the Vikings' year. I don't know. But, like, I think the Packers' problem is, yes, they have Jaden Reed. They have Romeo Doubs. Tucker Kraft. Yeah. Dotavian Wicks. Christian Watson. Who's their number 1, though? I would say probably right now it's Romeo. I mean, back when this started, like 2022, with Aaron Rodgers, I would say it's Christian Watson. Then last year, I probably would say it's Romeo Doubs. This year, again, I probably would say it's Romeo Doubs. I thought at the beginning of the year, Jaden Reed was going to become a superstar. Didn't happen, though. Tucker Kraft, you could say, is the number 1 option, but, like, I still would probably say it's Doubs. Maybe you need a legit number 1 next season because you have a bunch of good guys, but not elite guys. Like, I wouldn't say Romeo Doubs is a top 15 receiver. Yes, Tucker Kraft's a top 6 or 7 tight end, but what about wide receiver? I love Jaden Reed, but he fell off a fucking cliff. Was it him? Was it because Doubs came back and got more involved in the offense? Is it because Watson finally got more involved? Musgrave came back too, the tight end. So I don't know, but they actually might need, for a team that's so stacked at receiver, they might need another. But this time, they might need a number 1 receiver. So honestly, I was so high on the Packers before the season. I'm out. I'm sorry, I'm out. I'll take the Vikings over them any day. Another team I won't take no matter what. I mean, they're out of the playoffs. 49ers. Brock Purdy, yes, that was like a historic first half. He was on fire. He was throwing darts. I'm like, wow, Brock Purdy. Honestly, no. That was more about how bad the Lions defense has been. That they have been fucking awful. Like, they are so decimated, it's not even funny anymore. I mean, this game meant nothing, so it's fine. But, like, the Lions defense, I don't know. Like, I'm really worried now. I thought they were the best team in the league for the longest time. I don't think they're going to win. I honestly can't see them getting past the NFC Championship game. You really think they're going to be in Minnesota next week? The way Sam Darnold's playing, Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson, Brian Flores on the defensive side, I feel like that could get ugly. So Brock Purdy coming out in the first half playing elite football. I'm like, wow, maybe Brock Purdy's making a statement. Gonna give himself a contract next season. Then he throws two of the worst picks I've ever seen in my goddamn life. The first one, overthrew the receiver by a fucking mile. A mile. The second one, hit the defender in stride. He read his eyes perfectly, anticipated the route, and jumped the pick for the pick. So, I don't know. My notes here says Brock Purdy, what the fuck? That's what it says. And yeah, Pearsall started to come on. Maybe he's going to be a bona fide one next year. I don't know. I mean, yeah, a long way to go. But that was like a good eye-opening game for Ricky Pearsall. Or was it? Because this Lions defense fucking sucks. Let's be honest. So, look, I've said it long enough. I'll say it again. You don't have to sign him. He's got one more year left on his deal. You don't even have to franchise tag him. So, this is a team, the San Francisco 49ers, that doesn't do deals like that. They don't just bend over backwards and get fucked in the ass. They don't do that. They don't. They do things smart. They wait to the last second, and they get the player desperate. Like Ayuk, Boza, Trent Williams. These are legit players. Legit. Like, I'll take any three of those guys over Purdy right now. And I thought Purdy was a top 12 quarterback. You see the tiniest thing goes wrong, left tackle out, your top receiver out, top running back out. He puts up numbers sometimes against the worst defense in the league right now, but then makes the dumbest throws that a quarterback can make. So I'm worried about both of these teams. The NFC, man, it's wide open for the Vikings right now. That's Vikings and Eagles. That's really what it is. The Lions are the best team in the league for me for the longest time. Fuck them now. I'm out. I really am. I'm out. I don't believe in this team anymore. Like, I believe in their offense. I don't believe in the defense. They are shot. Both of those interceptions was not on the Lions. It was on Brock Purdy. Like, that was, like, ridiculous. Like, one was just completely overthrown. The second one was just like, the defender was waiting for him to throw. He was like, please throw the ball. I'm going to jump this route. Please throw it. And he threw it. So, couple Saturday games, but like I think the bigger Saturday game was the Broncos and the Bengals, and Bo Nix, Joe Burrow exchanging blows back and forth. Joe Burrow, 42 touchdowns, 8 picks on the year. He's been elite. He has. Some people might say MVP. I can't give a quarterback MVP if he doesn't even make the playoffs. Look, the Broncos next week are playing the Chiefs without their starters. The Broncos are going to win that game, and the Bengals are going to be knocked out. So, even so, the Dolphins are playing the Jets. They need both those teams to lose, and both those teams are going to win. So, how can you have an MVP for a player on a team that doesn't even make the playoffs? I know the defense sucks. I know. I understand that. I get it. I really do. But he's part of the blame, too. Don't forget the first 2 or 3 games where he was fucking awful. He lost to the goddamn Patriots. He lost. It was the Patriots. The Raiders was Lamar and the Ravens, but he lost to the Patriots. So like, he's had his fair share. He does not deserve MVP over the quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Lamar, leading their teams to the 1 seed. Lamar was almost going to be a wild card team. Now he's led his team to. They're probably going to win the AFC North. Those are 2 quarterbacks leading their teams to victories. And the Ravens defense isn't a cakewalk. The Bills defense isn't that good. So I'm done hearing the excuses for this guy. I had him as the second best quarterback in the league, and I had him as my MVP favorite going into the season. But You can't give a guy an MVP that can't even make the playoffs. So he's not going to make the playoffs. Let's be honest about that. So I'm not going to. No, not for me. He's not even probably top 5, not top 3. But the Broncos too. Look, Marvin Mims looks like he's becoming like a legit deep threat. This guy looks like he's special. He might become like a Rashid Shaheed, but I think like a better version of that. But Bo Nix, he's been up and down. I'm tired of people saying that he's a dick and dunk guy because if you look at him, like look at those throws down the field he's making, like elite throws. Wow, Bo Nix, I'm very impressed. They're gonna be in the playoffs. I think they're gonna beat the Chiefs next week because the Chiefs are resting their starters. They're not. Clearly, got to win to get that 7th seed. So, year 1, Sean Payton get in the playoffs with this team when you have Russell Wilson. It was like a $80-85 million cap hit this year, and you're in the playoffs. So, props to Sean Wilson. Props to Sean Payton. Props to Bo Nix. Great job for both of you guys. Kyler Murray. I've been defending him for a long time. I really have. Like, all the way down to for the last couple of years, I've been like, this guy's clearly a good quarterback. He can win with the right talent around him. He makes plays. He's a big-time player. I don't think you win long-term with this guy. He's too short, can't see over the line. When he gets into the weeds, he's just like, he really struggles. Like, when he starts off rough, like, yeah, he comes back sometimes, but sometimes it just gets really, really ugly. And, like, the last, 6 or 7 weeks, he's had some, ugly picks. It's been really, really bad. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, obviously, they're going to keep him, roll it back with him. I don't know. I don't know anymore with this guy. Like, honestly, don't even know what to say because it's like, I defended him for so long. And you see his value, like the beginning of the season, they were 6-4. He's making plays. He's efficient. And he just goes, the second half of seasons, he sucks. He sucks. I don't know if he gets worn out. People get film on him. I don't know what's going on, but it's ugly. It's ugly for sure. And, this team wasn't expecting to make the playoffs anyway, but at the same time, it was false hope in the beginning where you thought, now you look at the offense. The defense isn't the defense doesn't have that many players, but the offense, you're like James Connors. James Connors is a good player. He's a really, really good player. Marvin Harrison's been disappointing. Trey McBride's a beast. Michael Wilson's really good. You have players in that offense. For you to just put up 9 points against this Rams defense, who's good players, but not elite, what's going on? And you kind of expect, I'm a little disappointed in the Cardinals, but you expected this going into the season. You thought they were going to have games they were going to struggle. The Rams' offense has struggled. What's going on with Cooper Kupp? Is he done? It's a little disappointing because he had so many good years for a while, one of the best years in NFL history, a top 5 season for a wide receiver, and he fell off a cliff within 2 seasons. His body betrayed him really bad. And I do feel bad because he's done everything right. He's done everything the right way. Doesn't complain. He doesn't showboat. Doesn't even celebrate when he scores a touchdown. He does his work, goes home to his family, goes back the next day, and fucks people up. Now, he's getting locked down. He's washed. He's washed. Stafford's almost there, too. He's almost washed because he just looks so withered sometimes. He just looks so rusty. People like to, fucking, I don't even know how to describe it. People like to, I don't want to say dick ride him, but, kind of in a way. It's kind of weird. They're averaging 15 points in their last 3 games, about 15 points per game. And they win the NFC West because the Commanders beat the Falcons, but I don't see them going far. So what are they, the 3 seed? And they're going to play the Packers or the Commanders? I'll take the Packers or I'll take the Commanders in that game. I probably would take the Rams over the Commanders, but the Packers would fuck them up. They will fuck them up. So the Rams, I don't know. I do think, I actually don't know how much time Stafford actually has left in him because he just has quarters, halves where it's just oh, bro, what the fuck? But then he has some special moments. He can still slung it like the best of them. But he gets hit a lot. He gets hit a lot, and they don't have other than, it's a Puka Nacua show and Kyra Williams. Puka Nacua does all the work. He goes out for a little bit, you might be fucked. So they're probably like, I don't know. They're in a weird spot right now. They're kind of like, I don't know. I'm really up and down with them because 1 week they're all going off, the next week they suck. It's really confusing. It's honestly a mind fuck. It really is. The NFC West is a mind fuck. The Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Niners. They just like, I don't know what the fuck's going. I don't know what to expect from any of them. Like, any of them could win a playoff game, and any of them could be a top 10 pick in the draft. I really like. It's a wild card with all four of those teams. So, the only thing I want to talk about with the Eagles is like Saquon Barkley. He got the 2,000 rushing yards. That is an all-time season. Like, to lead the Giants your first season and go to the Eagles and then rush for 2,000 yards. I didn't expect that at all. That is actually kind of embarrassing for the Giants. He only needs 101 rushing yards to pass Eric Dickerson. The Eagles said that they're not going to play him. Would you play him? Would you play Saquon Barkley to get 2,100 whatever yards? Would you play Saquon Barkley in Week 18 to beat the rushing record? Would you do it? Would you play Saquon to beat the rushing record in Week 18? I probably would. I know I'm going to get shitted on for that. I probably would play him in Week 18. Why? Maybe I'm thinking more of the player here, but it's a passing league, 2024. You know, you have running backs go for over 1,000 yards still, but not like they used to. Running backs used to be the highest priority in the league. Jim Brown, some of these elite players, Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, you know, like even my favorite, Curtis Martin, like these guys would get carries on carries. Derrick Henry's like, that doesn't happen anymore. The amount of carries Derrick Henry would get in the season would not happen in the past. How often do you think, with the way things are going, that you're going to get the chance to beat the rushing record? It's not, it'll probably never happen again. So, 101 rushing yards is nothing for Saquon Barkley. He could get that in 3 quarters. And who are they playing again? Honestly, I forgot. The Giants. Oh my God. They have to let him. That's tough, man. That's tough. Imagine what the story would have been if Saquon Barkley broke the single-season rushing record against his former team, the New York Giants. That honestly would have been one of the best storylines of all time. Man, as a podcast guy, I wish that would have happened. I really do. But I would have played him because, honestly, I wouldn't have said you're playing. I would have been like, it's up to you, Saquon. What do you want to do? You know, you've done so much for us this season. I appreciate you. I honestly think you go out there and you do whatever the fuck you want, man, because we're barely paying you. If you want to go out there and beat that record against your former team, you go fucking do it, man. But guess what? If you have 10 yards in the first half, I'm taking you out. You have 20 yards in 3 quarters, you're done. You're done. If you're at like 70 yards in the first 2 quarters, oh yeah, now we're talking. So I just think it would have been interesting. That's all. Speaking of the Giants, they relinquished the number 1 overall pick. They beat the Colts. Drew Lock with a historic day. I mean, once in a lifetime performance. It won't happen again. Now the top 5 picks, you know, New England Patriots, the number 1 pick right now. They hold the number 1 pick at 3-13. They're not drafting the quarterback. They could trade back, but they're not going to draft the quarterback. The Titans at 2 need a quarterback. So if you're a Giants fan, that's the one that might fuck you. The Tennessee Titans. Number 3, the Browns. They just restructured Deshaun Watson's contract, so they will most likely not draft the quarterback. Probably running back again. You're at 4. So you will probably get the second quarterback in the draft. If I was you, I'm praying that they go for Shador Sanders. I'm praying that they go for Shador Sanders if I'm the New York Giants. Because, I don't know. I think he has all the talent in the world. I do like Shador Sanders' talent. I saw something that I didn't like. He, bitched out a ball boy. Him and his posse, fucking just, completely bitched out a ball boy for trying to do his job. I don't respect him after that. I think he's a little bitch. I honestly think that he's going to fold like a little pussy in the NFL. You want to know why? Deion Sanders had to make something for himself. Shador Sanders is a little spoiled bitch. That's what I think. I think he's a spoiled bitch, and I think Cam Ward has the dog in him. Go watch a clip. Look up Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. They were at the quarterback camp, and Cam Ward dogged him. He dogged him. He called him a little bitch, that he can't handle the heat, blah, blah, blah. And Shedeur just looked like honestly, Shedeur just does not have that dog. Cam Ward does. And Cam Ward has a way stronger arm. And I think he's more athletic too. So I think Cam Ward is the pick. So if the Titans want to be stupid and go get Shedeur, you be happy you get Cam Ward if you're the Giants. So if it goes the other way, you still get Shedeur Sanders. He's a good talent, but I think Cam Ward is the guy in this draft. And then Jaguars at 5, they're not going to draft the quarterback. So that's really, you have to worry about the Titans or someone trading up with the Patriots or the Browns. So that's where you are right now. Playoff time. We got one more week left. Week 18. Let's start with the AFC. The 7 seed. The 7 seed's up for grabs. Who can get the 7 seed? You got the Bengals, who are 8-8, the Dolphins, who are 8-8, and the Broncos, who are 9-7. The Broncos play the Chiefs, who are resting their starters. They win, they're in. I think the Broncos win. The Dolphins play the Jets. They need to win, and the Broncos to lose. I think the Broncos win, but I also think the Dolphins win. So I think the Broncos finish with 7. The Dolphins finish at 8. The Bengals play the Steelers. I do think the Bengals beat the Steelers in Week 18, but they need a win, and they need the Broncos and the Dolphins to lose. I think both those teams win. The Bengals too little, too late. They finish at 9. Broncos 7, Dolphins 8, Bengals 9. Sorry, Bengals, too little, too late. So Broncos get the 7 seed. They make the playoffs. Who wins the AFC North? The Ravens play the Browns at home, win and in. The Steelers play the Bengals at home. They need a win, and the Ravens loss. I think the Ravens win and the Steelers lose. The Steelers finish at 10-7. The Ravens finish at 12-5. So the Ravens win the division. So Lamar back in the MVP race. So Ravens win the division. Steelers get a wild card. So final AFC standings: 1 Chiefs, 2 Bills, 3 Ravens, 4 Texans, 5 Chargers, 6 Steelers, 7 Broncos. I think the Chargers win. Steelers lose. That's how I think it finishes. So, Sunday Night Football next week. You got Lions, Vikings, both 14-2. The Vikings are home. Winner gets the number 1 seed. I just think the Lions are too decimated on defense. I've been leading up to this the entire segment, the entire podcast. I think, honestly, ask 32 GMs, all 32 GMs. I think maybe 20 to 25 would take Sam Darnold over Jared Goff. He's younger. He has a better arm. He's more mobile. He's more athletic. He makes bigger plays down the field. Sam Darnold has a worse offensive line than Jared Goff. Sam Darnold has a worse running game than Jared Goff. Yes, he has better receivers. Yes, he might have a better defensive coordinator right now. But he makes bigger plays down the field than Jared Goff. Put Jared Goff in the Lions, they might not even make the 5 seed. They might be a 6 or 7 seed. Put Sam Darnold on the Lions, they are Super Bowl contenders still. They might even win the whole damn thing. I think Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Jared Goff in a vacuum. Right now, Jared Goff is more established, has better numbers, is better right now. Give Sam Darnold 2-3 more years like this, Sam Darnold's a better player. NFC South. The Bucs, 9-7. Falcons, 8-8. The Falcons need the Bucs to lose and them to win the division. The Bucs are playing the Saints. Look, they're going to win. It's over, Falcons. Too little, too late. You brought on Michael Penix too late. You fucking held on to it too long. You shouldn't have paid Kirk Cousins. If you like Michael, it sounds like you got new people in there too late, and they're like, oh, wait, no, I like Michael Penix now. Wait, we need to get this guy. Why would you even sign Kirk Cousins? That is retardedness at its finest. They play the Panthers at home. The Falcons, doesn't even matter. They win, they lose. I don't give a fuck. The Bucs are not losing to the Saints. The Saints are so bad. They are awful. They really should be the worst team in the league. So the Bucs win the divisions. Falcons, it was too late.